Yes. So today's topic is on powerful attitude and how attitude is the basis of our atmosphere, creating an atmosphere in action. So I've thought of reflected on a few points and put together. Let me just put it up. Okay, our powerful attitude based on it's the basis of action and atmosphere. What sort of attitude do I have? And attitude is everything. Attitude actually matters, right? So definitely first comes our awareness. Awareness is like our thoughts, right? Our awareness. What sort of awareness we hold. And an awareness actually impacts or influences, affects our attitude. So awareness, attitude, and then of course attitude affects our vision and our behavior, our actions, our world. So so awareness is like where the seed begins, and then of course attitude, and then the rest. So attitude is something very subtle aspect. Attitude is not something physical, um, not a thought. Attitude is like a subtle incognito aspect. Of course, you can also say it as, it's a pattern of thinking, feeling, and deciding. It's something connected to the soul internally. We use this word a lot, right? Attitude, attitude. Look at her attitude, or look at his attitude. So we use this word attitude a lot, but attitude is so much connected to, it's not something physical, but it's at a vibrational level. So you can have someone in the room and they may not speak anything, they may not say anything, but they can actually create an atmosphere just with their presence. It's like very subtle aspect. So you can also say, um, so attitude of the soul is actually a spiritual attitude. But when it actually shifts towards the body, then it's no more a spiritual attitude. But actually, the attitude of the soul is spiritual, which means the attitude which is filled with love, the attitude which is filled with, peace, the attitude which is filled with happiness. And so, which is like my thinking, my feeling, my deciding. That's my attitude. Sometimes we say, oh, that's who I am. That's who I am. That's what we say, right? That's what is my nature. You know, this is it. This is how I'm going to behave. So we sit on certain patterns of behavior, certain patterns of thinking and deciding. Certain likes and dislikes we create inside us. And we stick to those and we create a certain attitude towards those. So it could be positive and negative. And so when we create certain attitudes, we are always impacting the atmosphere wherever we are, because attitudes is naturally, creating this vibrations. Somebody could be in a room, you may feel very pleasant immediately. You know? Say just their, their presence, the vibrations that they hold, and you feel like talking to them. And sometimes somebody is there, you actually step back and you just notice or you just observe them. You're not ready to talk. So it's just this attitude creates, it's a subtle feeling that we hold that's creating the atmosphere always. So if I keep an elevated attitude, if I keep positive attitude, elevated attitude, and optimistic attitude, so wherever I am, it could be my home, it could be at work, it could be at a spiritual place or wherever it is, I create an elevated atmosphere. So whoever comes into that atmosphere, they can feel it. They can feel being the atmosphere being elevated because I made that. So it's just my presence actually created that. So sometimes we stick to our attitude and say, this is it, this is how I am. That is also not good. At any point of life, we feel our attitude is not right. We can always check and change. So, right now, the world that we are living in really needs our powerful attitude. Don't you think so? Enough of having the attitude of grudges and resentment and anger and force and all sorts of things that we have created. I mean, look at the condition of the world right now, with this pandemic. Look what we have done to our ecosystem with our attitude. Look how much we have destroyed the world with our attitudes of what we think is right, and the way we have been exploiting the earth. And by the way, today is Earth Day, right? Today is Earth Day. So yes, and so what not we have created in this world with our attitudes, and so we have destroyed somehow we have touched the ecosystem and we thought we can exploit it. And we have created so many things, and we ended up with this pandemic. Since 2 years we're stuck in this, and where are we all heading? And so what is the attitude we want to continue? I think we should ask all of us. So one is the world, one is our own self, one is the home we live in, the community we live in. We're impacting at every moment. So, on one hand, this pandemic is going on, and the other hand, have we changed our attitude? Still, there are things going on, shooting going on, right? Lots of things going on in the world. So, when is that we are going to change our attitude? If we continue like this, where are we going to end up? So, the world really needs right now our powerful attitude, which means an attitude filled with love, which means an attitude filled with care, which means an attitude filled with mercy for everyone and for myself. And so, whatever attitude I want to actually, you know, create the atmosphere, first of all, that attitude is impacting my own self. See, spirituality always brings back to the self, no matter which subject we are talking about. It's about coming back to our own self. Mm. So, right now, you know, check that what are certain attitudes that you have created inside yourself, or you have, that doesn't allow you to sometimes ascend, that doesn't allow to create an elevated atmosphere at your home or even to your own moods. You know, sometimes certain attitude we stick to something and we sit and this is it, this is the right way, and then it doesn't allow us to sometimes be happy. Our own attitude. No. Or we become very headstrong about our attitude. We sit there and we say, this is the way it is, and we don't allow ourselves to move forward, nor others. So very headstrong attitude, we a rigid attitude we sit with. And so I need to do that deep checking of what are those some of those attitudes that keep creating an hindrance in my own growth. Because attitude is like a seed. And if the seed is powerful, the tree is powerful, right? If the seed is defective, the whole tree will be defective. In the same way, if our attitude is not right, if our attitude is a mischievous attitude, then what happens is that there is no growth. I stop my own progress, my own growth inside myself, and my performance also comes down with my own attitude. So just let's start from ourselves and then we can go to others. Sometimes we hold certain attitudes, right? And then we make a decision on it. This is, this sort of manner. And so when we have certain attitude, we are actually creating sorrow for our own self. We'll say, I will not change. This is the way I am. Did you ever say that? I'll not change. This is it. This is my capacity. This is how I'm going to behave. And so that's creating actually a loss for my own self. So my performance level and my growth is actually coming down with my own attitude. Sometimes we keep a very stubborn attitude to our own self. Actually, if it is spiritually stubborn, it's very good, which is called determination. If I have a determined attitude to do something, which is good. But on the other hand, if I have a stubborn attitude, then my growth is actually coming down. My performance is coming down. Then it also impacts others then. Whatever I'm doing, it's like my whole tree, if I have a certain attitude, then, even it could be at work or at home, people don't want to be with me. Right? Having a negative attitude, always saying something negative, always doing something negative, behaving negatively, criticizing others, arguing with others, manipulations. All of these attitudes make us, others want to stay away from me. So, attitude is more subtle than words. And so, there is greater influence from that which is subtle. So, when something is subtle, it has a greater impact. Right? So, the amount of impact our thoughts can do, our attitude can do, is greater than our words. As I just mentioned, that sometimes, somebody walks in and they don't even speak and they create an atmosphere. So it's a very subtle thing. It's the movement of the soul. It's the vibration of the soul. How you are internally, your feelings inside, your thinking inside. So it's a very subtle aspect. And so sometimes if I have the right attitude, things get done. right? Have you experienced that? When you go with the really right attitude, you don't even have to say much. You're there, and your attitude actually makes a difference. Makes you know allows the things to get done. Mhm. Do you have such experience? You didn't have to say much. Just your presence made a magic, an impact, and the other person is like, okay. Just like the sounds and acts reaches so far into all directions from one place, in the way the vibrations of the attitude spreads far and beyond, just like how we have all these electronic gadgets. So say, the Zoom, or like, radios and televisions or whatever it is, a person comes and we feel completely different. In a sense, like all these electronic gadgets, how they're making us an impact. The sounds and acts are reaching so far and beyond. In the same ways, our attitude too. Our vibrations actually go far and beyond. I may be sitting in one place and I have very elevated thoughts for someone, and instantly that person can feel it. So, attitude is not even just being in front of someone, but attitude is at a thought level, it's subtle, it's a spiritual level, and so at a soul level, and so it, it just spreads. And so, either positive or negative, I'm thinking about someone, that soul can feel it, no matter how far they are, right? So, in the same way, if we look into the world right now, mm, we can't sit and say people have to change, people have to change. Of course, I have to change. I have to keep my attitude elevated. But how can we help the world? It's very important right now that the world needs a right attitude. That is an attitude of peace, an attitude of love. There is enough happening in the world. An attitude of compassion. And so spread these vibrations into the world. So every third Sunday we do something called World Meditation Hour. And so all we do is just spread the vibrations. And don't think about, I don't know if I'm sitting for 1 hour and spreading my vibrations. It's such a huge world. If it's going to make an impact, of course it will make. I don't have to count whether it's making or not. I just need to spread. And so these days, I've been thinking of this aspect of light a lot. How important is light? Say right now we're all sitting in light. I'm in light. If I turn off this light, though I'm there, I'm here. Am I visible to all of you? No. So when there is light, even I cannot see my own self in darkness. And so light is such an important aspect. When there is light, I'm able to actually see my own self. Others can see me. Light represents happiness. Light represents lightness. Light represents power. And on the other hand, darkness is, sorrow. Darkness is stumbling. Darkness is fear. And light is safety. And so let us spread with our elevated attitude, let us spread that light into the world. Be the light and spread the light. Bring everyone into that light so that no one remains in that darkness. But that only happens when I have My elevated attitude. Who is this? Somebody unmuted. So, such elevated attitude. So, think about it. Now, check what sort of attitude do you have to yourself, others, and the world. Can you say you have an elevated attitude for yourself, others, and the world? Another question is the attitude constant or it keeps fluctuating? Sometimes I have a better attitude, and sometimes. But then every time I'm having a negative attitude, it's impacting in a negative way. I'm spreading darkness with my negative attitude. Those vibrations are spreading. So it's like even at our home, if I have the right attitude of being happy, being light, being cheerful, that's the atmosphere I create at home. Right? Otherwise, if I'm always dull, if I'm fearful about something, that's the attitude, that's the vibration I create at home. Everything is touched by our vibration. Everything. Nature, they even say in your home, if you have plants, right? If you have the right vibrations, right attitude, even your plants grow well. Otherwise, our plants at home also will get fed up with our attitude. Plants also will wilt. Water, food, everything we are impacting every moment. Because our vibrations are spreading everywhere. And so check what sort of attitude do you have at home? What sort of vibrations do you have at your home? That somebody can walk into your home and feel, wow, such pleasant vibrations, I would feel like being here. Or somebody would walk in and say, or you yourself, right? After your work, you walk into your home and you feel like your home is like heaven, or it's like, what is this? So check your attitude for yourself, for others. What sort of vibrations are you giving? Are you spreading that light and lightness into the world or darkness? Another question is think of a time when you have handled a situation with an optimistic attitude. When you're facing, because they say that attitude also colors the situation we are in. If I have the right kind of attitude, no matter what situation, I'm able to handle it well. But if my attitude is not right, even a little thing, I can make it into a mountain and create disturbance. So, can you think of a time or a situation when you had an optimistic attitude and you handled that situation well? And when we talk about optimistic attitude, what is that, you know, what did your attitude consist of? When you say optimistic, what was the nature of your attitude that you handled that situation? Take a moment and think. And if anybody wants to share, you're most welcome to share. So, as we are listening to this session again, I always say this, it's not that I listen for 1 year and then I'm done with it. Okay, attitude, wonderful. I should have a great attitude. But then tomorrow morning, I completely forget. My attitude is back to square one. No, as we are listening, reflect on this. You know, So think about your positive attitude that you hold, and somewhere that subtle negative attitude also that keeps fluctuating, your inner growth. So that impacts others also in a negative way. So sometimes attitude of, waste. We create a lot of attitude of waste, which we'll be talking in a minute. Wasteful attitude. But coming to the next slide, when something is very powerful, it is not affected by other things. And so having a powerful attitude, so just think about it in during this pandemic or whatever we're facing right now, what sort of attitude we have to have. What makes a powerful atmosphere? What when we say powerful attitude, what do you think is a powerful attitude? What sort of attitude do we need right now? As I said, the attitude of compassion, no? A lot of compassion towards myself and others. A very elevated attitude can also be um, a non-effective. It's like being very stable attitude because a lot is going on. If I keep coming into fear and keep shaking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? This one left the body, or that is happening, this is happening. You know. So what right now, what I feel really an elevated attitude is being very grounded. Being very stable inside. No matter what's happening around me, I'm not shaking. I'm not affected by others or other things that are happening. So I need to be very, very grounded inside. It's like also an attitude of courage, fearlessness. I may think I'm inside my home, nothing, everything is okay. But anything can happen anytime, next door, or, to me or anyone. So, an attitude of courage, an attitude of benevolence, these are really elevated attitude. And so, when I have this subtle attitude inside, this subtle, powerful stage inside, then whatever is happening around me, those arrows will not shoot me, meaning I'll be uninfluenced. The arrow was shot and it was not destroyed. It got destroyed at its own path. Even if there is something that's coming on my way to put me down, either in the form of a person comes in front of me to put me down, or a situation comes to put me down, you know, anything it could be. It's like the arrow is coming towards me to strike me, but it gets destroyed on its way because my attitude is so powerful. So when I have a powerful attitude, I will have a powerful aura as well. It's like I'm surrounded with powerful aura that doesn't allow, you know, something to attack me or influence me. So check, do I have such an attitude that I stay uninfluenced no matter whatever is going on around me? Check. Do I have an attitude of fearlessness? Do I have an attitude of benevolence? How much am I internally grounded and stable? That even if something, an arrow coming towards me to strike me, it disappears. Are you getting that? It's such a powerful, like they used to say, like, Buddha had his aura was so powerful That even if somebody was coming with anger towards him to say something, to do something with him, to him, um, they would completely change. They, as soon as they're getting closer and closer to him, it's like their attitude is becoming calm and peaceful because his aura was so powerful and nobody could harm. So even if somebody comes with a negative attitude towards me, they won't be able to harm because my attitude is so powerful. So, one of the things of this attitude, what I need in my attitude, two things came to my mind is being egoless is so important in my attitude. Even a slight trace of ego can contaminate the atmosphere. Even slight trace of ego in my mind and intellect can impact my actions. I can behave egoistically and I can lose everything. And so, do I have that egoless attitude in me? Humble, humility. You can do so many things being humble, but even just a slight trace of ego will not allow me to reach my success. Success will run away from me. And the other aspect is needed in my attitude is silence. Silence allows me to have powerful, it allows me to actually realize. Because without realization, there is no transformation, right? Sometimes we keep repeatedly doing the same mistake again and again and again because I'm not realizing. I don't have that realization power. I'm not realizing how I'm actually causing disturbance to others and myself. Somebody may be telling me 1,000 times, can you please not do this? Can you please not do this? I'm not having that realization that I'm doing wrong. Because I'm not realizing, no matter how many tell me, I will not change. I'll have the same attitude because I'm not realizing internally, oh, this attitude is causing, you know, harm to myself and others. Mhm. So that silence is definitely needed if I have to have that realization, that silence. Why this one is telling me? Can I realize it's like, yes, I'm doing, this is not the right attitude. And so silence is needed to check. And so when I have this powerful attitude, whatever I can do in 10 words, I can do in 2 words. I don't have to say too much. This is like I don't have to convince. I don't have to work hard. When I have the right attitude, things will get done. So less quantity and more quality because it's coming from the subtlety. Sometimes we try to convince someone too many words, too many, and so when it's too much, also it can spoil. So, quality. So, when there is that powerful attitude, just with your gestures, with your presence, you can actually change the atmosphere. Sometimes we complain people don't listen to us, our children don't listen. At work, people don't listen. Maybe I have to check my attitude. Somewhere, something is not right, even from my end. If I have the right attitude, definitely children or people around me will listen. It's not that they have to listen, it's just when they are in that atmosphere, they also become the same. Sometimes we are yelling at children, do this, don't do this, do this. but I'm not being that example of do's and don'ts. Right? I'm not being that example. And I'm shouting and yelling at them. Whatever I can do with my elevated attitude or in that silence, I'm saying so many times and there is no difference. So change always happens with my elevated attitude. If my attitude is not good, then nothing is going to change around me. So humility and silence finishes wasteful attitude, wasteful thoughts, wasteful words, and wasteful actions. So I can cut down on a lot of waste with my elevated attitude. How much of waste we create throughout the whole day because there is no quality inside. When I'm talking too much, I'm thinking too much. So how much of waste we have created in our atmosphere? Everything is waste into the world. They said that like when the pandemic actually started and we were not going out and the first thing that got impacted is our nature actually. The nature had more purity because our vibrations, we were not out there into the nature. If you remember last year at this time, for the first 6 months of the pandemic, we all were in lockdown. And so I heard that, I'm not sure which country it is, that this lake was filled with all these swans. Before they didn't see those swans because, less pollution, the vibrations are good, the nature was flourishing. And so right attitude finishes waste. The seed of the method and success is the attitude. So when there is right attitude, I use the right method. And when I use the right method, then there is right success. So I don't have to use thousand things to get somewhere. When I have the right attitude, I know the right method, and then there is success. Whatever your attitude, that attitude changes your vision, and your vision changes the world. So vritti, in Hindi it's called vritti, the attitude, and drishti is vision. And so if I have the right attitude, I have the right vision towards the world. But my attitude itself is not right, so my vision towards the world and others is not right. It's like whatever kind of glasses you put, that's how you're seeing the world. If I put the red glasses, that's how I'm seeing the world. Everything I'm feeling red. So sometimes if I have an angry attitude, what will happen? My vision towards someone is angry. If my vision itself is not right, then my thinking and attitude is not right towards them. So, with our right attitude, let us look at the world with an elevated vision. When there is elevated vision, we create an elevated world. So, see, listen to, and think about every person, every situation with a positive attitude and not by any force or anger. So, let us have that see, listen, and think about every person and situation with a positive attitude. Always negative. This one is like this, that one is like this. Then nothing is going to change. So it's important that, okay, I mean, a person must have done something wrong, but am I 100% right too? So I need to check myself, my end as well. Where did I go wrong? What is that I'm doing wrong? So with negative attitude, with force and anger, we destroy everything, everything, right? And so see, listen, and think. with a positive attitude, with an optimistic attitude. So, how do I? So, when I check myself, okay, there are certain attitudes, okay, my attitude isn't right. So, what will I do? I'll just sit there. So, no, make your attitude powerful through inward journey. And this is where I need that silence. I need to have some reflections in life. If I'm given a correction, I have to check where did I go wrong? And how can I actually fix this? How can I change this attitude? I need to check myself. And so for that, a lot of silence, contemplation, which means like, meditate. Give yourself some time because that's what actually takes you inside. Even there is, an attitude of anger, and it will calm down. And never say, this is the way I am, this is how I'll behave. Then that becomes my blessing. You know, they say there are angels around. And when I say, this is how I am, what to do, this is how, then they will bless, okay, may you be this way. So, no, always there is a margin to change. Always there is a margin to change. You have to check and keep changing. So, have this inward journey of meditation. So, as we said, attitude is something connected to the soul because it's my thinking, it's my deciding, my feelings, my emotions, everything is in the soul. Not in the body, right? It's in the soul. And so, in this inward journey, I'm connecting to my own self as a soul. So, each day for a few moments, forget this layer of the body and consider yourself that beautiful being, the soul, the spiritual being. In that silence, when you connect to your own self as a being of light, I, the soul, beyond this, physical elements or physical body, beyond my physical identities, when I get back to the soul, it's actually very, very powerful. In that silence, there are realizations. In the silence, I can see my attitude very clearly. I'm able to ignite or awaken my inner light. I'm able to actually awaken the blueprint that I have, the inner qualities I have, the quality of love, the quality of care, compassion, happiness. And that's the attitude I will carry so that I can share that with others. So, this inward journey towards the soul is very, very important. How many of you experience during the day at least a few times? Remember, you're not this body, I'm a soul. We listen to this so many times, but yet we forget so often. It doesn't sit in our intellect. We live in this consciousness of the body and the world, physicality so much. But the more I have physical consciousness, and that's what I pick up. And so my attitude cannot be fixed. If I need to have a powerful attitude, I have to go beyond and connect to the soul, connect to the self. Because this is where the power lies, in the soul. So whenever I'm having this inward journey, I'm withdrawing myself from everything, right? And when I'm withdrawing, I am actually focusing on one point, that is I, the soul. And when I'm focusing on one, it becomes powerful. When I focus on 1,000 things, it gets diluted. But when I focus on one thing, there is power when you focus on just one. And so during the day, a few times, drop everything. and just focus on one. I am a soul. And when I focus on one, I generate that power. I generate that Shakti. I'm able to, touch my core values. And that's what starts to spread into the atmosphere. And that's the attitude I'll hold. That's the vision I'll have. And that's what others will feel from me. No matter where I am, if even I think about someone in a positive way, because my attitude, my thinking is so powerful, those vibrations will reach that soul. And sometimes I don't even have to say someone you made a mistake. Or, if I have an argument with someone, I don't even have to solve through my words, just my attitude. In silence, if I create pure wishes for that soul, good wishes for that soul, I'm actually giving I'm giving that help to that soul to change. Sometimes we say, oh, this one doesn't change. How many times I say? Now the time has gone, talking too much, saying things, this is all, this is all. But when I just have those good wishes and pure feelings of attitude wherever that soul is, I'm helping them to shift. Sometimes we complain about people. This one is like this. But if I hold good wishes and pure feeling, I'm helping that soul to change. So, inward journey is the most important thing. During the day, step away from everything. Inward journey, go inwards, I, the soul, and create that powerful awareness which impacts my attitude. And then, in this all, never forget the divine source. Keep taking help of the divine source who can help me to transform. Many times we feel like, oh gosh, I still have this anger, I still have this, how can I shift this? Take the help of God, take the help of divine source. He's there and he's wanting, he's there. He says, I'm there to help you. So let me take his help. If I feel anything burden, carrying this waste, let me give that burden to him. He says, I'm your helper. If someone comes to us, can I help you? Oh, we're always finding something. Okay, yes. Right? You can help me with this. Now, God Himself is saying, the divine source is saying, I'm there for you to help. And we don't take His help. We keep sitting and holding on to things and we keep trying the same old things. This is like this is like this. So let me do this inward journey every day towards myself, the soul. Think about the soul, feel the soul, immerse those beautiful vibrations I have, and connect to the divine source because He is the source of that powerful attitude. He is the source of love, that peace, where let those vibrations, let that light touch the soul, that eternal light touch the soul, so that I become the same. Okay, so these were a few thoughts about attitude. So, any thoughts? Anything you would like to share? Did it make sense or no? Or
Sister Madhvi, I have to leave. I'm not feeling good, so I want to lie down.
yeah, please do. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Shanti, Sister Madhavi.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It was so much powerful, presentation. I have made a note of every point. All the points were equally important for me. I think for everybody, it's important to ponder and practice if you can do it. I was very much impressed when you told that a man with a positive or elevated attitude will not feel homesickness, or he can adjust in a new situation also, right?
Could you
Like,
repeat that? I didn't get it. Sorry.
no, a man with positive attitude will not have a problem of adjustment even in a new situation. He can adjust wherever he goes.
Absolutely.
You will not feel lonely, and if he keeps positive attitude. I have a question. How should we deal with a person of negative attitude? Should we intervene him, try to educate him, or leave it like that and think that he will change himself later on? Should we try to change him, a man of negative attitude? How we should deal him?
So, do you think that if you try to change someone, they'll change?
Oh, someone may change. Yes, someone can change.
Yes,
They may be thinking in a wrong way, maybe keeping negative attitude, and or spiritually we can say that let him remain like that, and he may have realization and he will change himself later on.
Actually, our attitude shouldn't be that, if I'm trying to change someone, but of course, you know, many times when we look at someone, we think, you change, you better change. This is the attitude we have. But if we give them, of course, we share, we can advise them, we can help them. But at the same time, if my attitude is not right, and if I'm telling someone to change their attitude, it's not going to work. So the way a powerful attitude works is that when I have powerful attitude, say an attitude of benevolence, an attitude of compassion, or a stable attitude inside. So my attitude is actually I don't have to say 1,000 words to that person to change. Sometimes just in my company, that person starts to change. You know, so it's like, if you remember the slide we were talking about, you're not wasting your energy when you have powerful attitude. Even your few words can actually change that person, or lesser words, or just your gesture sometimes. But sometimes what happens is when we think of somebody to change, we hold something, inside. The first thing we have is this person will never change. That's the attitude we have, and we're thinking about others to change. How will that person change when I have the attitude this person will never change? I have to just say 1,000 times for this person to change, right? That's the attitude we hold, and we are trying to tell that person. So will that person will listen? No. And so, like also the slide we were talking about, egoistic attitude. So when I put myself in a higher pedestal and I am correcting others from an attitude of ego that please change, this is what you have to change, that person will never change. So it all comes back to my attitude. If I have a powerful attitude with lesser words, with lesser effort, others can change because I'm helping them to change rather than just telling them to change. So how am I helping? With my elevated vibrations, right? Sometimes others can pick up my attitude of really, if you have a very benevolent feeling for someone to change, with just our vibrations, that person will be half changed. But if my attitude itself is not right, and if I want somebody to change, that won't happen.
So I should not try to change others. The important thing is I should keep my attitude positive, and others will find out that I'm having benevolent, right attitude, and they will follow it. Oh, it is
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Exactly. Now you have to really think, what is this positive attitude I need to hold? You know.
Hmm.
So each one of us actually need to reflect at a deeper level. What is that attitude? Okay, when I want someone to change, what is that attitude I need to hold? What is that positive attitude I need to have if I want someone to change?
Hmm.
So make it very personal and think for yourself, like, what is that attitude I need to hold?
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is very powerful thought. So I will ponder and try to practice, sister.
Mhm. Sure. Say, for example, even two people are arguing in front of you and they're talking something really waste, say something very, very much waste. A wasteful conversation is going on. Now you're thinking, sitting there and thinking, look at these people, they're talking so much of waste negative. But rather than that, if you stay in your positive or elevated attitude of silence, or say very benevolent attitude, mm, your own spiritual richness, immediately you'll impact that atmosphere for those to become quiet. You experiment and see.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, sister. Shan.
Om Shanti, thank you. Any other thoughts?
I'll share. Thank you so much. I think for me, maybe for the most part, I have a positive attitude, but like you said, sometimes it changes. So I think what you said was to go back more in silence, right? Because now that we're thinking about it, and we don't know, we can't change what we don't realize, right? So when we sit in silence and we kind of think about what's our attitude, I think yeah, probably I'll have a bad attitude when I'm doing too many things or when I'm focused on other people or other things. So it always, like you said, it comes back to the self
Mm.
and staying in silence and yeah, realizing it, right? Because that would be the only thing I have. Like for the most part, 90% good attitude, but then 10%. Um, but yeah, maybe I just need more silence then.
Mhm. Silence, and also, an attitude of, give yourself an attitude of lift as well. Sometimes we put ourselves down. I can't do this,
Mm,
or this is at my capacity. I can go more. But that attitude also have to change. I can do it. I have the power.
mm,
Like how I was mentioning about courage. You know? So having an attitude of courage, an attitude of that first and foremost positive outlook towards my own self. I can do it. You
right.
not just sit back and get disappointed. Oh no, I can't do it. And, I'm too old to do it, or no, there is always a margin to change. And so having that optimistic attitude towards my own self is important. I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, many times this is what it is. When I have that sort of attitude that I can change or I can face something in my life, and that's what exactly I'll teach my children too. I mean, I don't even have to teach them, that's what they will learn as well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, like sometimes, if I have low self-esteem, my attitude is of low self-esteem, then somewhere my children are also picking up the same thing. Having
Mm-hmm.
low self-esteem. So that's we create atmosphere and impact others.
Sister Madhvi, I like when you said that even flowers and plants listen to your attitude. And it's true.
Mm.
It's I always joke with my daughter. I mean, in the morning we have some plants on the window, and it's like, okay, water them and stuff. And she talks to them like in a nice voice, you know, mommy, don't be bad, they listen. it's just a joke that is going on, but actually it's a lot of truth in it.
That's true. It is. It is. Everything, even the all the nature, the nature is so much aligned, so much close to ourselves. And so plants and water and the air, everything we impact through our thoughts and vibrations.
Yeah.
Mm.
Happy Earth Day, everyone.
Yes, happy Earth Day. Thank you, Loretta. Mm. So there is a beautiful message here. It says thank you and love the way you describe the importance of powerful and benevolent attitude and practical steps to change, check and change. Thank you for that beautiful message.
Om Shanti, Madhvi. Om Shanti,
Yes.
Sister Madhvi.
Om Shanti, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Good
Thank you
night.
so much. Om Shanti. Good night.
Om Shanti, Om Shanti, everyone. Any other
You
thoughts
know,
anyone has?
Om Shanti, Sister Madhvi.
Yeah.
You know what? Sometimes when I come to know somebody has attitude, but like we have sometimes no power to change. We have to try, yes, of course. But then I pray to Baba. I say, Baba, you only have to give them that brain. You only have to give them brain. You only have to change them
Right.
to not to have that kind of attitude. You know, I simply, when I try myself,
Yeah.
tell them frankly.
Mm.
But then after that, telling them, after that, I go to Baba. Baba, you only give them that brain to understand, not to have that type of attitude,
Yeah.
because you have the power.
Mhm.
We are trying
Mm.
to have that power. Keep silence, keep explaining to them. But in the end, I again go down and ask Baba, you only give them that brain to think.
Right.
Yeah,
We have to ask and give them the brain to change. Right.
yes,
Yes, Wimla, that's true. We have, I mean, right now, the times we are in, really, it's not about others, what they're changing or not, or how much they change. I think the focus has to shift towards us, towards ourselves. Even if I get upset about something, I need to check and change. I need to, internally know why am I impacted with this person behaving in this way? Is it my attachment? Is it what it is? And most of the times, it's our attachment that makes us feel that this person should change or this person should behave. So it's about again changing myself. It's not about changing anybody.
yes,
Hey, so
yes.
thank you.
Om Shanti,
Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.